Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining me. It's really nice to see you all. Just take a minute to briefly introduce yourselves, your names, and your studio as well.
I'm Sam Beagrie, and I'm the director and co-founder of Purr Productions.
Hello, I'm Ryan Drewry, and I'm the director-producer for Hunter's Moon Games.
Hello, I'm Joe Ruck. I'm the team leader and producer for Tombstone Studios.
And hello, I'm Daniel Kershaw, and I'm a co-owner and producer for Ducky Snacks.
What are some games that you've been enjoying recently?
Oh, I've been enjoying Elden Ring, and I've been playing D&D with the rest of my team, so that's what I've been up to.
I've been enjoying Armored Core, but also the Bloodborne board game.
Which Armored Core? The new one. I've been playing the Silent Hill 2 remake by Konami because I loved it as a kid.
And I've been playing a game called Cruel. It's made by a local developer from Norfolk, so I've been enjoying that recently.
And which games are particularly nostalgic for you that you would recommend to other devs?
Good question. I would always recommend Dungeons and Dragons. It's great for improving, just getting to know people and just understanding the game mechanics. It's great.
I'd personally say for those looking for a kind of spur-of-the-moment adventure, very open world, I'd always go back to Shadow of the Colossus.
I was going to say Shadow of the Colossus, that's annoying. Games from the 90s, my top three, Half-Life 1, Metal Gear Solid 1, and Zelda Ocarina of Time would be my go-tos.
And for me, although it's strangely modern, I have a sense of nostalgia for Team Fortress 2. That was definitely my childhood game to go to, although I probably shouldn't have been playing it.
Nice one, thank you for that. So how did you hear about Tranzfuser and what made you want to apply?
So I heard of Tranzfuser through a recommendation from my course lead tutor, David King. And it was from there he basically introduced me to the team at the time, and I worked part-time with them. And that's basically how I got involved.
I heard about Tranzfuser from, likewise with Sam, my university lecturer, Ian Griffiths. He looked at us, a small team of people, on his course and went, you guys should do this. You guys need to do this. And I signed up.
I heard about Tranzfuser from a previous year alumni at my university, Canterbury Christchurch. They participated in Tranzfuser 2023. They were called Chudley Games. They weren't winners, but they came back and they told us all about the experience and really encouraged us to go ahead. So we did.
And for me, back in my third year of university, I went to the Barclays Game Growth Summit, and there I met Paul Durant, one of the founders of the UK Games Fund. Talked to him a little bit about the UK Games Fund and about things like DunDev and Tranzfuser, and he just told me to apply, and that's how I found out about it.
So just to talk a little bit about what you've currently got in the works, what title are you working on at the moment, and is it the same as the one that you developed during Tranzfuser?
So yes, it is the one we developed during Tranzfuser. Still, it's catastrophic, where you play as a giant kaiju cap rampaging through the city on the quest to save your kittens. It's a roguelike city destruction game, and where you get to customize all your abilities through different runs, and it's chaotic as hell.
Yes, we're still working on Dreaded Wonder, which is our first-person psychological horror based in Norwich, where you have to evade and fend off myths and legends from the local area using the only thing you have access to, which is your mobile phone.
My team, Tombstone Studios, also currently working on Robes and Wrinkles, which is the game we participate in Tranzfuser with. It's a first-person power fantasy dungeon crawler game, lots of comedy, play as the villain, a lot of chaotic spells and physics-based mayhem.
Thank you. And since we're a year older, we're working on a new title called Comics Collection. It's a underground World War I co-op multiplayer game where you work together to blow up objectives, help your teammates, and find useful NPCs that can give you things like, unique guns or even trainable rats.
Can you tell us about some of the key inspirations for your current game?
Absolutely. So one of the key inspirations for our game has been cats and generals when they get the zoomies. Of course, crossing that with Godzilla, some of the other abilities we have in our game, like Hades, Binding of Isaac, and loads of other games like similar to that.
So a few things inspired Dreaded Wonder. One was just the historic city of Norwich and everything it's got going underneath it, but also the fact that it's got a growing sort of hub for game development, and we wanted to kind of use that uniqueness and make it into a game.
Robes and Wrinkles, the inspiration came from comedy series such as Monty Python and Blackadder. Our team have like a collective sense of humour in that, even though there's about 8 years between us from youngest to oldest, we all really enjoy that sense of humour. So comedy, Monty Python was the biggest source of inspiration, and our game features a comic book aesthetic, which pays homage to the Hellboy series of games, and the artist who created it, Mike Mignola, all wrapped up in a dungeon crawler genre.
For Comics Collection, really we have a few game inspirations for that. Namely, Payday 2 was one of them, between sort of robbing a bank and being quiet and going loud. Lethal Company, we really liked the sort of like comedy horror of it. And other games like Deep Rock Galactic and Helldivers were a definite inspiration for this game.
What skills would you say you're utilising the most in the day-to-day operation of the studio?
So with me being a part of the production or being a producer, my key thing is communication, team communication especially, as well as problem solving. Those things are invaluable, and improvisation, I couldn't say more. That's really key for what I do.
Yeah, so as the producer of Hunter's Moon, I find that a lot of my job takes on putting out fires and wearing many hats, but also just the organisation and communication side of things, making sure that we're all up to date on what we're doing and that we're all on track for what our plan is while we're here.
Similarly to the previous two gentlemen, being the producer for the team, again, using agile management tools to try and keep the team on track, make sure everyone knows what they're doing throughout the course of the working week. Putting out fires obviously is a big one as they come, but I think being able to pivot and adapt when you need to is crucial, particularly in a residency such as this.
Yeah. With Rubber Ducky Snacks being the smallest team, I tend to go through mainly problem solving is one of the main things we do. One day I might be, programming, the next time bugs fixing, next time doing pitch presentation preparation, and then also keeping everyone else on track. So yeah, definitely much problem solving is what we end up doing.
How did Tranzfuser help your game or project evolve?
So it's turned it from being just more of a concept, and where we started out, it was very much a university games course prototype. Taking it from there and taking it to realizing with Tranzfuser made it just basically blow up to a point where we're like, okay, we really have something here. Let's keep going with it.
Yeah, Tranzfuser helps open our eyes to many aspects of the process that we don't really get to touch too much upon in the very short-term projects we'll do during university. So taking it from just a project to a product is what Tranzfuser helped us do.
I think my team were quite fortunate in the respect that by the time we applied for Tranzfuser, we had a working prototype. We'd been working it for 6 months. So we entered it for perhaps a bit more of a head start than the other teams. But how did Tranzfuser help us? I mean, facilitators, people speaking to people in the industry that do it day in, day out and have so much more knowledge and experience in areas that we don't, and being able to strengthen our weaknesses and just learn so much more about not just game development, but the business side of, trying to get a game to market. It's something we were very naive about and have learned absolutely tons ever since starting.
I think Tranzfuser for us really put into perspective the breakneck pace of making games, and as a small company battling between survivability and getting a product out there. So really going from concepting to designing to production to showcasing, all within a matter of a few months, really put so refined how we see projects as a small company and getting them to market quickly.
Very good point, sir.
Looking back to the start of your Tranzfuser journey, is there some advice that you wish you could give yourself?
Absolutely. Be prepared to sacrifice what you wanted to keep. You've got to be prepared to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I didn't realize how much time I'd be committing to this. I went from doing something along the lines of around about 35 hours a week to all the way up to 60, just so that we could get this project and get the studio to where it is now.
Definitely to do the due diligence and look into what it takes to start a kind of business, it'd be a limited company, sole trader, anything, just any kind of research that will give you a head start on understanding the process will definitely help you in the long run, just in case of any pitfalls you may encounter.
I wish I knew how busy of a summer it was going to be, and how little sleep I would get. No, I'm joking. Be aware of the fact that as much as it is a game development competition, there's also a lot of business acumen involved, and prepare yourself for that and try and look beyond just game dev and think about marketing and business promotion and strategy in and of itself.
Yeah, and for me, the advice I give to myself is just for me and my teammates as well, sort of plan for your life as well around Tranzfuser. We're coming to the end of university, you're going to be potentially moving back home, and you need to incorporate those timescales into when you're working on the game. And if you don't, then you might come and lose, a couple of weeks. A move goes wrong, or it takes an extra, day getting home, or you might have to lose internet for a couple of days. These things you really got to incorporate when you're doing Tranzfuser.
Is there something that has been particularly challenging as a studio? And if so, have you ever overcome it?
Yeah, so I suppose it's realizing what you don't know, and trying your best to try and find out that information as fast as possible. And it can cover from everything from design. Mostly for us, it was business, finding those people who could advise us in the areas, as well as finance and accounting. Massive things, well worth knowing.
So for us at Hunter's Moon, the most challenging aspect was, I think, the transition from it being something at university where we don't expect things to be finalized. There are parts of the process we didn't even take into account. And then just pushing that from project to product, how much more of, I think like Sam said earlier, how much you'll have to kill your darlings. There are parts of the project you'll never actually see light today, and it's okay to give those things up for the better of the product itself.
Yeah, and following on from that, again, not being too precious about things, because timescales change, deadlines change, and you need to make adjustments at essentially a minute's notice sometimes. But for myself and my team particularly, I think it was marketing. A big challenge is we don't have a dedicated marketer, a social media manager, a community manager. So we were sort of sharing the hats amongst the four of us, myself, Liam, Aaron and George, to try and fill that role, which was stressful at times. But again, if you work cooperatively well enough and you're a good enough and close-knit team, you can overcome those sort of objects, but it's a challenge nonetheless.
And for us, one of the biggest challenges we faced is, since we're an extra year older than some of the other teams, is actually keeping the lights on, working with your finances and optimizing them, finding the right grants and the right people to support your business, and generally surviving for as long as you can until you can get to your game to release, and then generally working that into your lifestyle as well. If I'm going to work on the game, 3 days a week, am I going to continue working part-time 2 days a week? And then figuring out how you do that.
What do you think are the key differences working in a professional studio compared to the work that you were doing at university?
So straight away, responsibility. You take that all upon yourself. Yes, there is a level of responsibility towards your own work when you're at university, but here it turns professional and you set your own deadlines and you commit to them. And as a producer, I have an entire team behind me relying on me to set those correct deadlines and be able to pivot the team where accordingly when needed. And it's big.
Yeah, so similarly with us, it's, I guess more towards time management, because at university you have the structure of going into university, you have access to the resources there and kind of have your little comfortable life. And then going from that to doing it yourselves, you have to have the drive and will to push through any difficult times and continue developing this thing you love so much, because all of that, not necessarily support, but that feeling of community you had in uni now is just you and your tight-knit team, and that's what you need to realise and overcome any challenges for.
Yeah, I think accountability. There isn't as much hand-holding as there was in higher education or university or whatever branch you came from. You are professionals and you're in a professional environment, and you need to act and behave as such, take accountability for your actions and manage your own time to the level of detail that you're required to complete the job you're assigned or that you're working on. So time management is a huge one, and cooperating with other professionals in the industry. That's something you very rarely do. Well, in my situation, in my university, we didn't have much opportunity to do that. So being able to be cooperative and speak and learn from other studios and other developers, you need to be professional and proper about it.
Yeah, the difference between academic and professional life is very much who you talk to and in the manner you talk to them. Very much going from talking to your lecturers as potentially someone who is a source of knowledge to then talking to industry professionals potentially equals is a really strange adaptation from learning to doing, and then also changing how you sort of articulate that and talking to people is very, very odd.
What are you most proud of in relation to your studio development personally and professionally?
So from professionally, with the team, I would just say it's the team really. They work really well together and I couldn't be more proud of them.
So yeah, for us, professionally, the thing I'm most proud of is just how well we've been able to develop ourselves when it comes to going from just a group of uni students to now a team running a company. You know, in a lot of ways, while I'm the producer, my team boss me around more than I do them, and they keep me on my toes. And I'm proud of how far they've gotten me. I dare say without them, I would not have gotten this far.
Yeah, I'd agree with the previous 2 points. Essentially, how our team have developed from recent graduates to fully fledged working professionals and taken accountability and really pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Because it's not an easy transition to make, is it, from university straight into a work environment? And this is such to us, it's been an invaluable transitional period where, again, sort of bridges that gap between education and employment, and just given us and my team the skills we need that we're going to be taking years and years ahead.
So I think for me, both professionally and personally, one of the biggest achievements of our studio is the sort of portfolio of achievements that we built up slowly. So day by day, it doesn't feel like you're doing very much, but then you look back on it and you realize that we've gone from nothing to a prototype to a product we can show off and then showcase and then get into DunDev and doing other things. And for our business as well, there's other things that you do in game development, like, you know, doing service for hire and getting our very first client was a really big achievement for, you know, last year. And then really revealing a new service. And generally those sort of small achievements, and you look back on it, you're like, you know, a year ago I was an academic, you know, finishing my final year, and then coming to that point now just feels really rewarding.
Amazing, thank you. So looking ahead a little bit, how important was your team structure during Tranzfuser, and are you still working with your team members in the same way now?
So yes, I'm still working with the same team members. In fact, we've grown slightly. We've now got a core team of about 5 people, and we've got 5 contractors that come in and out depending on when we need it. And yeah, that's fantastic.
So in terms of the kind of team structure we had, I believe that some aspects of it have changed, more for the better. The way we're handling things very early on in Tranzfuser were still at university level. There were still things we were getting wrong, lack of communication, breaks of communication, whereas now everything is quite out in the open. We're all very open with each other. We're keeping constant communication, be it over Discord or otherwise. And yeah, that's kind of how we've kept with it and how we will continue.
My team size and structure at Tombstone Studios has remained the same. I think reflecting on it now, the main difference is during Tranzfuser, whilst we were trying our best and trying to become professionals in a working environment, we're more reactive than proactive. Whereas I think now, bleeding into DunDev, we've sort of realised how we need to act and how we need to keep ourselves strict to deadlines and, you know, adhere to policies and whatnot within the competitions. But I think we've become more proactive than reactive, so looking ahead and anticipating things further down the line rather than reacting to them as they happened and appeared at the time.
Yeah, so for Rubber Ducky Snacks, we started out as a 6-member team. Towards the end of Tranzfuser, 4 of our teammates used the experience to go get jobs in big industry, which is really good for them. For the 2 of us that remained, sort of really focused on business fundamentals and surviving as a small company. And the 2 of us that remained have really sort of adapted and focused on, you know, what runs a business rather than just making a single game.
So what can teams do now to get ready for Tranzfuser 2025?
Get to know each other's skill sets, know your boundaries as well and what you're capable of. That was immeasurable because it means that you don't give yourselves, like, you'll come up with some fantastic ideas, but then you realize like what you're capable of and you realize that might be a bit too far out of scope. It sucks, but you can take that idea and you can adapt it into something new, and that's what's important.
It's all about teamwork, and, you know, I know Sam has just explained that, but more in the sense that these are the people you're going to hopefully be working with long after the program is done. So it's good to give each other space, but also be able to tell someone no and ask for help from people, no matter how your personal feelings are. You need to put personal feelings aside and just allow for a professional relationship to form. Otherwise, you will struggle.
I hate to piggyback off Ryan and Sam, but exactly the same thing. It's knowing who you're working with, knowing your team's capacity, the fact that you are potentially could be working together for years to come, touch wood, if I can reach it, for years to come, knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses, being able to say yes and no to one another, because that is such an integral skill. You need to be able to be diplomatic and essentially sometimes call each other out on things that need addressing. But yes, realise that sometimes hard work and tenacity trumps talent. and you're going to be engaging with these people on a daily basis, 9 to 5 essentially, or more, in Sam's case, 60 hours a week. So you need to be able to gel with them very well. So yes, know who you're working with. And I think for me, sorry, I'm going to take up this mic for ages. They say don't go into business with your friends, whereas I somewhat disagree with that. In our case, I don't think we could have done it had we not been friends and overcome the highs and lows that come with working together, full time in such a close knit and intense environment.
Firstly, with your skill sets, make sure they align relatively closely. So this is if you've got a really, really good program and then someone who's just getting into the start of it, you might really struggle with, passing information and code between each other. So really see if you align there in terms of your skill sets, but also just get your eggs together and figure out what you're going to do, which engine you're going to use, get your source control up and running, your back end and everything like that. So really, you can prepare now for what you're going to do and just get straight on with it when you start.
Has your approach to development changed since completing the Tranzfuser program?
Yes, absolutely. I still struggle with the my internal self thinking that, I'm not really a games developer. I'm not right for this. But no, I am. I'm really, really am there now. And this is a professional life now. So to take it to that next step, it's learning how to be flexible, really. Knowing and managing your deadlines. But for me as a producer, that's where it's been.
So for me, in terms of kind of how I've developed time management, it is definitely something that was a weak point back then. It's still something I'm working on now. I end up kind of fooling myself at some stages because some things are quicker than easier to resolve than others, and therefore I think things can be done quicker. Always give yourself that extra bit of time because chances are you will always need it.
Yeah, so since finishing the Tranzfuser program, I think, and I hate to hark back to my previous comment, but I think it is a case of our team and myself and all the members became proactive more than reactive. We realised that, we were chosen as one of 19 teams throughout the UK to participate in Tranzfuser, and there's validity and there's worth to us as a game and a studio behind that. So essentially, other than fine-tuning our cooperation between each other, our source control, our day-to-day communications, it's just we've taken it up a notch and fine-tuned it to a more professional level.
So not to be contradictory at all, but after Tranzfuser, really taking sort of a step back for just a couple of months and figuring out where your feet are, and sort of realizing that where life is going to take you within game development, not be just making the game. Especially a lot of companies that I've seen around me have other opportunities, whether they do guest lecturing at universities, or whether they talk to other people about their time, or even you do small little programming bits for other clients. Really seeing where your life takes you after that as a company, but really as a company, not as an individual. It's really important, and how we thought about it after Tranzfuser.
Where can people follow your next steps as studios, and what are your ambitions for the future?
So if you want to follow us, we've got a Discord, we've got Blue Sky, we also have TikTok and Instagram. Those are the best places you can find us. We do some more personal stuff on the Discord, so I'd recommend there. As for the future of our stuff, we're taking it to the next step with our development stuff. I won't say much because we want to keep that hidden at a minute, but we're very much looking to showing off what we have at the end of DunDev. Yeah, I should probably add, you can find us or find the game, or at least a demo of our game on itch, and we're set to perhaps release sometime in August of this year.
Okay, yeah, so for us, Hunter's Moon, you can find us. We have our website, so look us up on Google. We have Instagram, unfortunately Facebook, and we do have a TikTok, which we will be uploading to, and also Blue Sky, Twitter. But the next stages for us is we want to go back to our community. So when we're done here at DunDev, we want to release soon after a demo to Steam, but also to get in contact with some educational institutions in and around Norwich and kind of do work with them and begin our journey into hopefully supporting the local area.
You can find out more about Tombstone Studios by searching us for us on LinkedIn, Tombstone Studios. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. Our demo for Ropes and Wrinkles, our first-person Power Fantasy Dungeon Crawler game, just came out a week before Christmas on the 19th. So you can download the demo for free on there. I think it's a sub 250 megabyte download, so it's tiny, and play it to your heart's content. But essentially, Google Tombstone Studios, Ropes and Wrinkles was likely pop up, and yeah, it'll branch off from that.
And yeah, so rubberduckysnacks.com, that's our website. We're also mainly posting on LinkedIn for all the business stuff, which is probably quite important for Tranzfuser and DunDev. For our game, we're going to look for an early access release in August with a full release in November, and that's Comics Collection should be coming out through Steam.
When are you aiming to have the current game released?
Yeah, so we're aiming for August of this year. Aiming to have loads more added to it by this time. Looking at around about 3 stages where we've now currently got 1, and loads more power-ups and more chaotic features. Just super psyched up and looking forward to it. And of course, more cats. Can't forget that.
So for our current game, we're hoping on aiming for a January-February release of next year. And after that, we're then looking to keep with the theme of using our local surrounding as inspiration and also the myths and legends within it, but are looking to do more of a sort of action fighting game set in a gothic setting.
The demo for Robes and Wrinkles, which is essentially the first level of our game, as I mentioned, is available on Steam now. It came out a week before Christmas, but we intend to release the full game between July and October to Q3, Q4 next year. Full 5 levels and a tower for the player to explore from bottom to top.
And yes, so Comics Collection should be coming out early access in August, with a full release in November, and hopefully a sort of pre-full release spooky update in October as well.
And just a final question for you. What sort of title do you think you want to work on next?
What kind of title we want to work on next? So the team and I have had a couple of ideas regarding taking what we have currently and making it something bigger. I won't promise anything, but it's a heist game involving cats.
So our next game, we have a few lined up just as in a list. Each member of our team has supplied a future IP, but our next one is a very gothic setting, still inspired by our surroundings, and features a lot of knights and fighting.
For the team and I at Tombstone Studios, I think we're going to take a page out of Ryan's team's game and potentially look at making a horror and seeing how that gets on, but it's still such early days and early doors. But yeah, that's potentially the next development from our studio.
Yeah, so for our next game, not 100% sure, but I am 100% sure that it won't be a multiplayer game. I have a working title called the Very Nasty Space Politics Game, but we shall see.
Amazing. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for your time. It's been lovely to have you. And it's really nice to hear all your insights. It'll be really useful for people who are applying to Tranzfuser 2025 this year. Thanks so much. That's a wrap.